This evening, we will reflect on our various accomplishments together in 2020, and then look ahead to this new year and our exciting plans for it. If you have any questions during tonight's presentation, please type those into the chat box feature and a staff member will respond. We all know that 2020 was an incredibly challenging year, but it was also a year where Save Mount Diablo not only survived, but thrived in advancing our land conservation mission. It was a year where we proved our strength and vibrancy as an organization. And that is primarily because of the incredible team that makes up Save Mount Diablo. From our amazing supporters, to our incredible staff, to our outstanding board of directors and other volunteers, to our great partners like the good folks at East Bay Regional Park District, California State Parks, and the East Contra Costa Habitat Conservancy. The Save Mount Diablo team is made up of some very special people. People like our board president, Jim Felton, who took on this big role in April 2020, early in the pandemic. And he has remained such a positive force throughout. People like Malcolm Sproul, our longest serving volunteer board member, who received our Mountain Saver Award and the Diablo Magazine Threads of Hope Award last year. People like Robert Doyle, one of our terrific founding board members and the former general manager of East Bay Regional Park District, who retired at the end of last year after immense service to parks and open space in the East Bay. So I want to thank you all, supporters, staff, board, other volunteers and partners. You helped us survive and thrive in 2020. And our proven strength gives us great confidence in our ability to continue to protect and connect people to our precious part of America's natural foundation for the benefit of all in this new year. Our strength and the support you give us are especially important when you consider the great duress our natural world is under, from the climate crisis to the mass extinction event underway to other environmental challenges. Let's reflect back on 2020 now. At the January 2020 State of the Mountain Address, we announced that two local nonprofits, Save Mount Diablo and the Concord Mount Diablo Trail Ride Association, just signed an option agreement to work to permanently protect 154 acres of one of the most strategic, unprotected open space properties remaining on Mount Diablo's main peaks. The proposed 154 acres to be conserved, which are east of Clayton and on the slopes of Mount Diablo's North Peak, are surrounded on three sides by Mount Diablo State Park. This land is also contiguous with Save Mount Diablo's conserved Young Canyon property and our North Peak Ranch acquisition project, which we are buying over 10 years. This connectivity makes the protection of the 154 acres highly strategic, as it is a way to secure and build upon already protected wildlife habitat corridors, scenic view corridors, and watershed lands. In particular, we signed an option agreement and provided a $50,000 option payment, which will give us until December 2021 to raise $1,040,000 so we can then purchase a perpetual conservation easement on these critical and beautiful 154 acres owned by the Concord Mount Diablo Trail Ride Association. Protecting this strategic and scenic land will create a perpetual green gift to the wildlife and communities of the Mount Diablo area. In 2020, we educated the public about Mount Diablo's sustaining Diablo Range by sponsoring a special Bay Nature Diablo Range supplement, supporting an NBC Bay Area Open Roads episode about it, and creating other presentations and articles about this incredible mountain range. Mount Diablo helps make up the northern part of this mountain range, which extends for over 150 miles through 12 counties. The Diablo Range is a biodiversity hotspot and an important wildlife habitat corridor. Mount Diablo's connection to the larger Diablo Range has become even more important in this time of the climate crisis, where intactness and resiliency of natural systems are paramount. Recognizing all of this in a prior fiscal year, the Save Mount Diablo board approved the expansion of our area of interest to include the relevant parts of the northern 3 counties that the Diablo Range runs through. In other words, including parts of Contra Costa, Alameda, and San Joaquin counties. In 2020, Save Mount Diablo helped lead the campaign in support of Measure Y in Danville. We were successful, and as a result, 93% of the 410-acre McGee Preserve property was protected for public benefit. We are now working with our good partners like East Bay Regional Park District, the town of Danville, and Davidon on the important and extensive public trails that will be part of this newly conserved land. In March 2020, we were in the process of wrapping up a hugely successful fiscal year. Our fiscal year runs from April 1st through March 31st, and then bam, the pandemic hit. So within that first quarter of the new fiscal year that started on April 1, 2020, we were faced with a very bleak picture. A raging global pandemic, social and political unrest, soaring rates of unemployment and loads of businesses going out of business, growing rates of depression, etc. How in the world were we going to meet our programmatic and revenue goals in this newly started fiscal year and stay afloat, let alone thrive? We made some critical and strategic decisions early on that helped us not only stay afloat, but thrive. Decisions like the following. We immediately announced a team approach with the goal of maintaining all of our staff positions. We immediately emphasized the importance of maintaining our positive and grateful organizational culture. We looked for new ways to serve our communities, like our weekly lighting of the beacon during the pandemic and our new Nature Heals and Inspires Zoom series, both of which started in April. And we also did a lot of careful financial planning. The end of our current fiscal year in March is now in sight. And what I see is incredibly bright and spectacular, as it appears we will end this fiscal year that has been entirely within this national crisis and pandemic period. 1, having substantially delivered on our strategic plan and programmatic goals. 2, having maintained all of our staff positions. 3, ending the fiscal year in the black and better than budget. And 4, having grown and stewarded our reserves well so that we go into the new fiscal year in April with a solid financial foundation. I'm just so incredibly proud of and grateful for all of you, our team. And I want to give a special shout out to our amazing staff that I have the honor of working with day in and day out to deliver such results, support one another, and make our world here a better place. In April 2020, we successfully purchased and protected the beautiful and strategic 28.73 acre Smith Canyon property on Morgan Territory Road. The property is contiguous with our conserved Curry Canyon Ranch. We paid $650,000 for the property, and it was worth every dollar. And it will now be paying lasting green dividends to our communities and wildlife in perpetuity. How often do you get to protect an entire canyon? Smith Canyon contains a complete canyon, including important blue oak woodlands, grasslands, and a live oak bay riparian corridor. One of the bright lights provided to the San Francisco Bay Area during this period of national crisis has been our Mount Diablo beacon. Save Mount Diablo volunteers and staff have been lighting our Mount Diablo beacon weekly since April 12th, 2020, Easter Sunday, in response to the pandemic. We light the beacon weekly each Sunday night after sunset and let it shine through the darkness until Monday when we rested after sunrise. We light the Mount Diablo beacon to thank our heroes in this pandemic, like our brave frontline workers helping us to get through it. We light the beacon to pay our respects to the dead and suffering. We light the beacon to help our communities lift their eyes to the light and nature. We light the beacon to help bring our Mount Diablo area communities together. We have received beautiful feedback from members of our Mount Diablo area communities, like some of our frontline workers, about how much the weekly lighting of the beacon means to them. For example, a local nurse sent us the following note. Hello, my name is Alice. I am an RN and I'm taking care of COVID patients. I want to thank you for lighting the beacon every Sunday. My colleagues and I look forward to it, and we text each other every Sunday that the beacon is up. We plan on having a party when it doesn't have to be lit any longer. Thank you again for the effort in lighting it every week. We will continue to do the weekly lighting of the Mount Diablo beacon for as long as the pandemic rages in our area. And let's hope that ends soon. Understanding that nature is the ultimate foundation for our long-term health and well-being, we developed a free public education Zoom series entitled Nature Heals and Inspires to help our communities understand that nature is a critical part of the solution to working through these difficult times. We started our Nature Heals and Inspires Zoom series in April 2020, and to date we have delivered almost 20 presentations by an amazing and diverse group of experts, ecotherapists, conservationists, artists, scholars, etc., exploring this topic of how nature helps inspire and heal us. And through this exploration, we have been sharing important clues on how to realign ourselves and our culture with the natural world we are all part of. Be on the lookout for the upcoming presentations in this popular series. By June, we had raised over $100,000 for our mid-year appeal, the largest amount raised for the mid-year appeal in our near 50-year history. The prior largest amount raised was about $90,000, which was achieved in the preceding fiscal year. We are so incredibly grateful for and inspired by you, our supporters, and all the momentum you give our time-sensitive land conservation mission, even amidst these challenging times. We came up with creative ways to safely continue our conservation collaboration agreement program with local schools amidst the pandemic, including virtual Zoom presentations by our staff to participating schools and students going out in nature near their homes to do solos and local environmental service projects. In October, we completed one of these newly formatted CCA programs with Campo Lindo High School. And then we completed another with De La Salle High School in November. We are now working to do one with Pittsburgh High School before the end of the current fiscal year in March. Tren Kauser, a teacher at Campo Lindo High School, who has been having his students participate in our CCA program since 2017, said of this year's effort, with distance learning, students have been spending countless hours in front of screens. By partnering with Save Mount Diablo, Campo Lindo AP Environmental Science students had the opportunity to experience a respite from screen time, a moment to quiet their minds and recharge in nature during these stressful times. Inspired by the great work that Save Mount Diablo does, they also made their environment better during the small service project. What a wonderful opportunity to turn their passion into action, practice what they have been learning, and restore and reinvigorate both their energy and the environments close to their homes. Our great stewardship team, made up of our talented staff and volunteers, has continued to deliver on the stewardship of our thousands of conserved acres throughout the pandemic, doing important fire abatement work, planting and caring for native trees and plants, removing invasive species, reintroducing important wildlife like ground squirrels and kestrels to our lands, and other efforts. We have been doing our Moonlight on the Mountain Gala for 19 years. In this fiscal year, for the first time, we had to do it as a virtual event. We had absolutely no idea how it would turn out, but our resilient team, including great staff, supporters, volunteers, and sponsors, stepped up, and we exceeded our net revenue goal for the event. Save Mount Diablo and the coalition we helped lead scored a major victory in November with a landslide win on Measure T in Antioch, the Let Antioch Voters Decide, the Sand Creek Area Protection Initiative. Despite big spending by out-of-town developers who opposed the measure for 2 years in court, we received a 79% yes vote on Measure T, a 79% yes vote on Measure T to manage growth in the Sand Creek focus area next to Black Diamond Mines Regional Preserve. The Sand Creek focus area, which consists of thousands of acres, is the largest continuous stretch of undeveloped land remaining in Antioch. After the big Measure T victory, we hosted a celebratory hike in the Sand Creek focus area, and look who joined the participants in celebrating. The fearless American badger, who is a predator that is rarely seen in the Mount Diablo region, but he clearly appreciates the Sand Creek focus area where our group saw him joining in the Measure T celebrations. In the 1970s, the American badger seemed to vanish from the Mount Diablo area, but in recent years, they have been making a comeback. Save Mount Diablo and our good partners at California State Parks, Cal State East Bay Concord Campus, and the Sons and Daughters of Pearl Harbor Survivors Chapter 5 sponsor and organize the annual lighting of the beacon for National Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day on December 7th. This past December 7th, it had to be a virtual event, but that did not stop us from putting on a very moving and educational experience that you can watch on YouTube. A few of our inspiring local Pearl Harbor survivors who served on that fateful day were part of the event. The event seemed very meaningful this year, in part because our country's response after the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941 is such a powerful reminder of the ability of the United States to be great and overcome immense adversity when we come together. This past December, our 7th annual Mary Bowerman Science and Research Colloquium also had to be virtual, but that did not stop us from putting on a great program sharing some of the latest scientific research about the Mount Diablo area that we helped fund through our Mary Bowerman Science and Research Grants Program. For our year-end appeal, we raised over $483,000 when the goal had been $350,000. So in these wild and challenging times, we actually achieved the largest amount raised for a year-end appeal in our organization's near 50-year history. And we had obviously done that last summer with our mid-year appeal, as I mentioned earlier. Just absolutely incredible accomplishments and momentum provided by you, our supporters. As I've said before, we could not be more grateful for and inspired by all of you and the momentum you give our very important land conservation mission. People en masse celebrated the end of 2020 with all of its heartache and challenges. But then we started the new year with a violent attack on our US Capitol building and democracy on January 6th. Oh my goodness. But you know what? Your little organization that can, your organization that punches far above its weight, chose light and positive steps forward. The night of January 6th itself, we went forward with a virtual board meeting where we advanced a lot of important conservation business, followed by our productive annual strategic plan virtual board retreat a couple of days later. These were acts of positive defiance that we will not be beaten down by the darkness, but we will instead continue to move forward positively with our mission of protecting our important part of America's natural foundation for the benefit of all. We are so thankful that you, our supporters, make such light possible. At Save Mount Diablo, we have been investing in more educational efforts to meaningfully connect our communities to nature in this age of documented nature deficit disorder, especially in our young wired generations. For example, we are currently working to open a unique free public educational preserve at our Mangini Ranch property by the end of our 2021-2022 fiscal year. It will allow groups of people for educational purposes to reserve the property free of charge for the day so they will have it to themselves for an intimate nature experience. Think of high school AP environmental science classes, yoga classes, grief counseling groups, photography classes, and others benefiting from this. In this new fiscal year, we plan to complete our major Forever Wild campaign. We now only have $1 million left to raise to complete our $15 million Forever Wild campaign that has done so much for our organization. So just a little over $1 million left to go. Our Forever Wild campaign has helped us raise funds to conserve a number of strategic properties like Curry Canyon Ranch, Smith Canyon, North Peak Ranch, Rideau, Big Bend, Hanson Hills. Raising the remaining funds to help us acquire a perpetual conservation easement on the 154 acres of the Concord Mount Diablo Trail Ride Association land will help us complete the Forever Wild campaign. Forever Wild helped us raise the funds to start a stewardship endowment fund, the interest of which will assist in sustaining our organization for years to come. With the campaign, we started our Stewardship Endowment Fund in 2017, and we have already secured over $2.6 million in commitments for it. Forever Wild has also helped us raise the funds to meaningfully increase the size of our legal defense fund for our conserved lands and normalize and grow a major gifts program. We are working at Save Mount Diablo to diversify our organization and the types of people served. We are working to build greater ethnic diversity, connect with and educate more types of outdoor user groups, etc. Such efforts will ultimately result in a stronger and more resilient organization with broad-based support. And the more people connect with nature and get educated about it, the more they will take care of it. Some of this diversity work can be seen in our new 2021 Discover Diablo offerings, which include bilingual hikes, mountain bike offerings for the first time, and rock climbing offerings for the first time. All Discover Diablo outings are subject to any applicable COVID restrictions in place at the time. In August 2020, as orange apocalyptic skies shielded the sun and smoke trapped us all inside, the SCU Lightning Complex fires burned nearly 400,000 acres across the Diablo Range, making it California's third largest wildfire ever. However, there were 0 deaths and relatively small infrastructure destruction from this massive fire. California is in a drought. Temperatures are rising. A climate crisis is causing changes we don't fully understand, which makes it a perfect time to take a closer look. So Save Mount Diablo is launching a new project called Diablo Range Revealed. Over the next 3 years, we'll produce articles, photo galleries, and videos aimed at gaining deeper knowledge about the plants, animals, and ecology of the whole Diablo Range, from Mount Diablo to Pacheco Pass. And we look forward to sharing what we learn with you. In 2021, you can be certain we will be staying on top of land acquisition opportunities and threats to our important open spaces. While working to complete the fundraising to acquire a perpetual conservation easement on the strategic Concord Mount Diablo Trail Ride Association land, we are already looking at a number of new potential acquisitions. We also see 2021 as a busy year for our advocacy efforts. We recently learned that the developers who tried to stop our Measure T from going to the Antioch voters last November are now trying to undo our massively successful result with post-election legal challenges. Sino continues to push an ill-conceived development for the Faria land in Pittsburgh, right next to the new regional park in Concord we advocated for over many years. Despite a recent legal victory, Tesla Park is still threatened by OHV recreation. These are just some of the many threats and opportunities we will be involved with in 2021. On September 11th, 2021, we will put on our 20th anniversary Moonlight on the Mountain Gala. Our board member, Bob Marks, started this incredible tradition many years ago. Whether it be all virtual or a hybrid type event, it is going to be a very special and fun evening while furthering our great momentum. Please mark your calendars. Thanks to our founders, Mary Bowerman and Art Bonwell, we have a really big birthday coming up this year on December 7th, 2021. We turn 50. Our 50th anniversary celebrations will start on December 7th, 2021 and run through December 7th, 2022. Please stay tuned for details. As the National Youth Poet Laureate, Amanda Gorman, said recently at the inauguration of the 46th President of the United States, "The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it." Together, we were a bright light in 2020 for our foundational natural world and each other, even amidst some very, very dark days. Thus, we go into this new year with the understanding and confidence that together we can continue to be a bright light for the Diablo wildlands and our communities. I want to thank you again for helping Save Mount Diablo with our land conservation mission. You are absolutely helping us shine, and we could not be more grateful. Thank you for joining us this evening. Have a great rest of the night and be well.